All right, guys, it is time to test out my new 10.3 inch Ballistic Advantage 300 Blackout barrel. But before we get into that, we need to say goodbye to an old friend. Our buddy here, the old 16 inch 300 Blackout upper. This barrel is coming out, and this is actually going to become a 16 inch 6.5 Grendel. All of this crazy barrel swapping I've been doing lately. A viewer got in touch with me and wanted to swap Grendel barrels. He's got a 16, I've got a 24. So we're swapping barrels. So that 16 incher is going in here, and my 22 nozzler barrel is going into the old 6.5 Grendel platform. So this was a 16 inch AR Stoner barrel from Midway. This has been an outstanding barrel. Incredibly accurate. I was constantly shocked by the amazing groups we shot out of this cheap barrel because I paid 75 bucks for it. It had a carbine length gas system, which was the main reason I bought it, because I had heard so much crappy things about carbine gas that I wanted to see it for myself. So I bought this cheap barrel just to show how much it sucked. And all it did was shoot awesome groups. So I'm going to be sad to see this guy go. I don't know what I'm going to do with the barrel yet. I might give it away to you guys. I might hang on to it for a little while. I'm not sure. But it's going to be missed. Killed my first hogs with this guy. Yep. She was a good one. Now, the reason why this became disposable is because we went to this 10.3 inch barrel in 300 Blackout. So for 2 years, we've had the 16 inch gun, and we've had my 8.5 inch Rainier Ultramatch barrel. So those were our two test platforms, the 8.5 and the 16. This 8.5 inch Rainier has been an outstanding barrel. It is especially forgiving for ammo. We could fill a case full of dirt and it would probably cycle Subsonic in this barrel. But it never quite had the accuracy I was hoping for. It was kind of an 1.5 inch barrel where I was looking for maybe an inch barrel. You know, it was good. It was very good, but I thought maybe there was something better out there. The first thing we did was I picked up an 8 inch CMMG barrel. Got this guy on sale as well. It was pretty cheap, but at the time I was wanting to try a 1-in-7 twist barrel, which this is, but this guy didn't really test out all that well as far as accuracy. It shot a little bit worse than what we had seen out of the Rainier. It was good. It was still good. Actually, I've got the targets here. Let's talk about the targets because it's the exact same test we're going to do today with my new Ballistic Advantage barrel, the new 10.3 inch barrel. It is the Ballistic Advantage Premium series. I don't know. It's a frickin' barrel. There it is. This is their stainless steel offering. It was a little bit confusing to get my head wrapped around their barrels. They've got a modern series, a performance series, and a premium series. And then inside those series, they have these Hanson barrels and some aren't Hanson barrels. And I guess the Hanson is the profile. I don't know who Hanson is, but I mean, I'm not trying to downplay the importance of a barrel contour, but does coming up with a barrel contour get your name permanently added to the title? Because I mean, it just gets a little bit ridiculous. I guess the long name would be like Ballistic Advantage Premium Series BA Hanson Profile or something. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, and I don't know why I'm talking about this. But the price on them isn't too bad. 230 bucks. Wasn't terrible. It seemed like a really nicely made barrel. It fit very well into the upper. Nothing weird kind of went on. It did come with a gas block. Came with a low profile gas block that is like pinned and crap. I've never really had any gas block issues, so the pinning kind of seems a little excessive, but whatever, man. It is obviously a pistol length gas system. So what I'm hoping is that this additional 2 inches of barrel will claim some of that velocity lost, you know, that we've seen with the 8 and the 8.5 inch barrel. So I'm hoping this will kind of be a decent compromise barrel, an in the middle barrel between my 8 inch and my 16 inch. So this will be the one and only 300 Blackout test upper we have going forward. So hopefully it shoots well. I'm really hoping it does. I've heard good things about Ballistic Advantage barrels, so hopefully it rocks. Okay, so back to the barrel test we did on the 8-inch CMMG barrel just a couple weeks ago here on the channel. We loaded up a bunch of different ammunition and just went out and shot some groups. We had 5 different supersonic loads, and you can see how this is a 100-yard target, and we'll be shooting at 100 yards. All of our groups today will be at 100 yards. But you can see, like, the best group with a super was a 1 3/4 inch group, so it kind of looked like 2 inches, you know. Yeah, whatever. So that was slightly disappointing. Over on the Subsonic side, more of the same. We did get a 1.8 inch group at one point, but most of them here about 2.5 inches, and then a couple really terrible ones that really opened up. So what I've done to test our new Ballistic Advantage barrel is basically repeat that exact same test. I've got 12 different loads that I want to shoot. Here they all are lined up. So we'll be shooting all the way from 110 grain supers up to 240 grain subsonics. Here is all of the load data. I'll have the load data on the screen as we shoot it, so no need to memorize it all at once, but there it is. These shots have been fired, the footage has been compiled, and it is ready to show you. So let's get out there. The first little part here is going to be sighting in the gun. Then there's a break. I'm going to clean the gun really well and then go back and start shooting groups. So let's get to it. Okay, let's kick things off at 50 yards. I've got 5 rounds of our 110 grain VMAX with 16.5 grains of accurate number 9. This is our sighter load. We've got 20 of them to play with here at 50 yards if we need it. So let's start out with 5, see if the gun blows up, see if anything interesting happens. Might as well cycle a few through and see how they survived the trip. A few little scratches on the ogive of the bullet, but it looks pretty good. So, all right, no suppressor. See where they hit. I'll be aiming at the center dot. So our first piece of brass looks okay for the most part. It fire formed nicely and looks good. The primer's kind of flat though, and it shows a little ejector mark. It's not terrible, but it's a bit flat. Screw it. All right, let's shoot a couple more, see if they group at all. Okay, that's not a bad start. I'm gonna go ahead and come right 2 minutes. Yeah, that should be a good start. Our brass is ejecting beautifully right at about 3 o'clock with this carbine buffer and spring. Looking good so far. All right, let's try 5 of our subsonic sighters. These are 220 grain Match Kings with 9.4 grains of Winchester 296. So let's see if they'll function. All right, these a few scratches on the bullets, but nothing terrible. Looks okay. I'm going to continue to shoot at the center dot. Actually, this is going to be 5 inches or so low, most likely. So let's shoot at the top right-hand dot. Failure to feed. Same thing. Okay, that's funny. Their first 4 didn't feed, but then the 5th one locked the bolt back. Maybe not. It was kind of weird. As soon as I dropped the mag, the bolt fell. Whatever. Not a huge surprise with Winchester 296. Well, it's a little bit of a surprise, but it's not a shock. We'll have a lot of investigating to do to see which powders run this gun and which don't. So, all right, I'm going to move the target to 100 yards. We're going to put the suppressor on. And let's finish getting this guy sighted in, broken in. Okay, so our target is now at 100 yards. I've put on the suppressor. Hopefully we don't get a baffle strike. We're going to go back to our 110 grain VMAX load and yeah, see if we can finish getting this guy sighted in. I've got my Caldwell Ballistic Precision chronograph out as well, so we can start getting some velocity data. Okay, center dot. Okay, let's come up 1.5 minutes and right 1.5 minutes as well. There's this stupid leaf on a branch that I forgot to move, or that I didn't get out of the way, and it's in the way and I can't see where the hell I'm hitting. All right, let's move to the top center dot just so I can see. You guys know exactly where I'm hitting. I have no freaking clue. Okay, that one was in the orange. That's pretty close. All right, here's 3 more quick shots just to double check it. Okay, that last shot was a little weird, but before that they were looking okay. All right, we will call that good enough. Let me go ahead and zero my turrets. Okay, so I'm a little surprised that pretty much all of the brass ejected back to about 4 o'clock, 4:30, which is surprising. I expected to be way over gassed and shooting them straight up towards 2 o'clock or so. So this might be a good sign or a bad sign. It might be a bad sign that gas block out of alignment or something goofy like that. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. And here's the best test. This is 5 more of the 220 grain Sierra Match King Subsonics, or at least I hope they're Subsonic, with 9.4 grains of 296. So the last video with our 8-inch gun, we had to go to 11 for our subs. So yeah, let's give that a try. And let's shoot at the left center dot. All right, I like the looks of that group. Our velocity was just about perfect. Averaged about 1,075 feet per second-ish. Locked the bolt back and the group looks good, so that is awesome. All right, let's put our super back to the, let's put our zero back to the super zero. I need to go clean this gun really well. I want to go ahead and clean the gun now that we know it's functioning okay. And then we'll get down to it and see what sort of groups it shoots. All right, so our gun is nice and cleaned up. Didn't find anything weird going on at the first cleaning. So we've got our suppressor back on there. Everything's ready to rock. Our first group is going to be the same supers that we've been shooting. The 110 grain VMAX with 16.5 grains of accurate number 9 and a 2.050 inch overall length. So let's shoot a bit of an official group with this guy. All right, so that was a really good start. Not a bad group with 110 grain VMAX. So we're moving on to the 120 grain Barnes TAC TX. We're going to shoot 17.5 grains of Winchester 296 and a 2.250 inch overall length. This is the load I worked up to take hog hunting with my 16-inch gun. Ended up killing a couple hogs with this bullet. Did a great job. See if they group. All right, so I got that sun going in and out thing going on, and now everything's crazy bright, isn't it? Let me adjust that for you. Okay, let's try that for a little while. So the 120 grain TAC TX at 2,090 feet per second. That's not too bad. The group wasn't great, but for that particular bullet, that's not terrible. So next up is the 125 grain Hornady SST. The powder is Alliant 2400. We're shooting 14.5 grains at a 2.1 inch overall length. So let's see if they will group. Okay, so we had a little audio technical difficulties there. More specifically, I forgot to hit record on my audio thingy. So that 125 grain SST group was not bad. This next bullet is the 147 grain M80, like military surplus bullet. We are shooting 16 grains of accurate 4100 at a 2.135 inch overall length. This bullet shoots terrible in everything, so I don't have very high hopes here. All right, so that was actually a very good group for that bullet, that 147 grain group. Not bad at all. All right, our last super is the 168 grain Hornady AMAX. This is generally a good shooting bullet, so this might be a good one. Powder is 20 grains of CFE black and a 2.230 inch overall length. All right, that hit way low and to the left, probably off camera. All right, so none of those groups are crazy good, but they're all pretty darn okay. And I can live with okay. So, all right, I need to switch targets. Okay, now it's time for the fun stuff. Our first Subsonic is the 200 grain Lapua Full Metal Jacket Boat Tail Subsonic. This is a Subsonic specific bullet. Our load is 11 grains of accurate 1680 at an overall length of 2.020 inches. This is a good one to start out with because should be a good group. Oh, almost forgot to move my sights. Yep, we need to go up 11 minutes, right? Yep, there we go. Whew, thanks for reminding me. All right, so we got the velocity perfect at 1,060 feet per second. Had a really good standard deviation number of 4.1. All right, next up is the 200 grain Maker Rex Subsonic. This is an expanding subsonic bullet. I used this guy to kill a deer with last year out of my 8.5 inch Rainier barrel. We're using 8.4 grains of Winchester 296 and an overall length of 2.100. These have never grouped super tight, but they group okay. 1.5 inches, 2 inches would look good. Okay, failure to fire there. We did not feed the next round. Same deal, failure to feed. So it doesn't look like this barrel is going to like Winchester 296 for subs. My 8.5 inch Rainier did, but it had an exceptionally large gas port and was just a very gassy gun. And I think I got away with a little bit more than I should have with that one. So it is what it is. Maybe Winchester 296 is just not going to be a good subsonic powder with this guy. Next up is the 200 grain Sierra Match King. This guy we're using IMR 4198. 10.4 grains of IMR 4198 at a 2.105 inch overall length. This one ought to function. Tell you what, I'm going to move right 2 minutes. Yeah, just right 2 minutes. We'll see where that puts us. Yeah, that group looked good at the start, but kind of fell apart there at the end, didn't it? Our next bullet is the 208 grain Hornady ELD Match. This guy, we're using IMR 4227, 9.5 grains of it, and our overall length is 2.250. All right, so that group wasn't bad. Our next bullet is the 220 grain Sierra Match King. This was our Subsonic sighting load. It's 9.4 grains of Winchester 296, so we're probably going to have function issues. Our overall length is 2.2 inches. Let's see how it does. Okay, so that group was a little bit disappointing. Okay, next is the 225 grain Hornady match bullet. We're shooting 10.4 grains of Reloader 7 and an overall length of 2.250. All right, that's better. That was a good looking group. All right, last up is the gigantic 240 grain Sierra Match King. We're shooting 12 grains of CFE black at an overall length of 2.55 inches. Let's see if I get a baffle strike. All right, there's another decent group. So we had those Match Kings a little bit too hot. Our average velocity was 11.25, but overall those groups seemed to tighten up as we were getting higher in bullet weight. So some encouraging results, but let's get back to the bench and look it over really well. All right, so what do you think? I need to make that darker, don't I? Does that help any? Okay. So our 5 supers, pretty consistent. Our best group was a 1.49 incher and our worst group was a 2.01 incher. So, I mean, I'm not exactly wanting to hang that on the wall, but it's not bad. It's better than we saw in the last video from the CMMG by a pretty fair amount. The CMMG did shoot the 120 grain TAC TX, slightly better, but all of the other groups are smaller with the Ballistic Advantage. So over to the Subsonics. Not too bad. Our best group was the 225 grain Hornady at 1.09 inches. And our worst group was this 2.45 incher with the 220 grain Sierra Match King. This is funny because you see this guy had this kind of weird vertical stringing going. And if you look at the CMMG target from the last video, the 220 grain Sierra Match King had vertical stringing as well. So, and while we've got it up here, you know, that's kind of how the CMMG shot subs. And that's how the Ballistic Advantage shot those subs. So definitely better. Definitely some improvement. Some promising results. It especially seemed to like the heavy ones. You know, the 225 and the 240 were the two best groups. And they weren't too bad. Like, they were trying to group really well. You know, we were very close to a very nice group here. So I would say that shows some promise. I would say, however, that, I mean, this is probably the worst it could have shot while I would still end up being happy. You know, any worse and I would be upset. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. How'd your barrel shoot? It's fine. It's fine. So we'll do some more work with this guy. We'll see if we can get her to tighten up a little bit more. I think we can, because I want to try a few things. You know, maybe something's going on that's been affecting both this barrel and the CMMG. Like maybe this scope. This scope is what's been living on this upper recently. This is my Vortex Viper HS. maybe something's going on here. I've got an HST, almost an identical scope in an identical mount that right now just happens to be living on my 223. I'll swap scopes. Try those out maybe in the next video. Hang on, we need to get brighter again, don't we? Okay, that's a little bit better. So it didn't like Winchester 296 on the Subsonic side of things. And that was a little bit unfortunate because, man, my Rainier barrel, it freaking loves Winchester 296 for subs. This gun was overgassed with everything. But it was kind of good because everything ran and cycled okay. But it was overgassed. And because it's overgassed, it was loud. Lots of action noise, recoil. Like it was a loud, snappy, gassy gun. Where this was not gassy at all today. We saw excellent ejection patterns pretty much through the whole thing, except for Winchester 296. And that was both with the suppressor and without the suppressor. So when I got done shooting and got in here, I started looking up some information about these and found that they have pretty small gas ports. And I didn't measure it before I put it together. So I tore the whole thing apart again. Because, well, for one, I wanted to just double check everything, retorque the barrel nut, just kind of, you know, tear it apart and put it back together again, just to make sure everything seemed okay. And while I had it apart, I got a picture of the gas port of all three barrels. I've done my best, you know, with my calipers. I don't really have a good way to measure the gas port diameter, but with my calipers, the best I could come up with was the Ballistic Advantage is right about 0.08 inches. And both the Rainier and the CMMG are about 0.10 inches. So there's about 20 thousandths difference in size. And I've been trying to think through this situation because, you know, of course, out on the range, or my first thoughts were, man, this sucks. I can't shoot Winchester 296 subs. It's probably not going to like Lil Gun. Which, that's fine. That might be something we could bond over because I don't really like Lil Gun either. But, you know, some of the faster powders probably aren't going to work very well in this upper. This guy's going to land like where I had my 16-inch gun, which was very picky, right? My 16-inch gun was very picky about function, and my 8-inch gun would run anything. So maybe this is the best of both worlds. You know, I'm somewhere in the middle. The gun is much less gassy. It was much quieter. So I'm just going to look at it as a good thing. You know, we'll move forward. We'll you know, as we do more load workups with this guy, we'll find out more about it. If someday down the road I need to have the freaking gas port drilled out, then by God, I'll have the gas port drilled out. But for the time being, we'll move forward like this, see how it performs. Yeah, I think we'll be just fine. I don't think I forgot to show the lower earlier. This is my SBR lower. It's got a Mission First Tactical Minimalist stock. And today we were running a standard carbine buffer and spring. I wanted to keep things as generic as possible, just so that we could, you know, start to characterize this guy's functionality as far as its gas system goes. So I guess that's it. I mean, you know, this is our new platform. I'm going to need to go back and test some things that we've already tested with the other barrels, but full speed ahead from this point. I've got a bunch of 300 blackout projects that have kind of stacked up on me because I was waiting for all of this to shake out. Ton of work with the Rainier wedge bullets and then a whole bunch of others as well. Overall though, you know, first impressions here with the Ballistic Advantage Premium Series barrel is good. You know, the price was reasonable and the accuracy we've seen so far is at least as good as my 8.5 inch Rainier Ultra Match was. So I don't know that I could really ask for a whole lot more than that. So this is the point of the video where I beg for your support over at patreon.com/reloading. It is the very best way to support the channel and what I'm doing and allow me to test out this cool crap and bring you guys videos. So check me out over there and I will see you guys next time.